Hey everyone, my name is Peter Hall.
My name is Josh Hall.
Today we're going to be reviewing a documentary called The Final Year. It's about Obama's last year in office. So, here we go.
No, sweetie, we gotta go, man. You're gonna get 5 kiss and hugs. No, I need it for the car. Your bagel's a good question. Marie, could you
Okay,
get
so
her
nothing
bagel?
interesting is going on right now. It just looks like a bunch of kids and their mom are running around their house getting ready to do something.
Marie, what did you... No, I literally just had it. Okay, great. Okay. Thank you.
Alright. Sorry, running a little late.
Boring start so far.
That's why I forgot my phone.
Oh, John Kerry. Fuck you, John Kerry.
Are these actors?
No, those are real people. That was John Kerry.
Oh, that was John Kerry?
Yes.
Yeah, fuck you, John Kerry.
Too late now. I don't know who that bald guy is.
Thanks, everybody.
I can still say fuck you, John Kerry. I just wasn't sure if like this was a reenactment or not.
No, it's not a reenactment.
For a few months now.
John Kerry, right there.
Fuck you, John Kerry. Let's send a DVD to everyone in this video.
Josh, do you know how much money that would cost me? I don't even know who Samantha Power is.
Fine. Let's at least do the Clintons. Send it to Bill and Hillary.
Definitely Barack Obama and Donald Trump.
I
Okay.
met President Obama when I ran for president.
Fuck you, Obama.
And asked him if he would be willing to be the keynote speaker for my convention.
When we send our young men and women into harm's way,
That was
we
the
have
first-
a solemn obligation not to punch
John
the
Kerry
numbers
asked
or shame
Obama to
the
be a
truth
keynote
about why
speaker
they're
for his
going, and
presidential
to
convention.
never go to
I don't
war
remember
without
that.
enough troops to win the war, secure the peace, and earn the respect of the world.
I was very much one of those people who got hit by lightning when he gave that speech. And I immediately made it my single-minded mission to work for this man.
Oh, brother. The ass kissing is incredible.
This is our goal.
I literally made it my single-minded mission to work for this man. I got struck by lightning. BAM! Lightning just hit me!
And I met
In
him.
the words of Marty McFly.
Started talking about the book I had done.
It's like lightning! It just hits
Save
you!
the world, brainstorming about how it could be done differently. And I heard myself saying, why don't I leave my job and come and intern in your office? But I'd like to just sketch a few examples of what Obama has done on foreign policy and what he's capable of doing.
Felt very much like a
Nice hoodie, lady.
Samantha, like she gets excited.
Very
comes up with ideas, and
unprofessional.
I'm thinking, wow, this is great. Like we're gonna change the world.
Change the world!
Seeing President Obama not long after he was elected and seeing this dramatic shift in his demeanor.
It's funny how this is made with the clear assumption that Hillary Clinton was going to become president and carry on Obama's legacy. And now Donald Trump is president, and he's dismantling your legacy. Ah, fuck you.
We came in wanting to repair America's standing in the world.
Is that you didn't repair America's standing in the world. You degraded America's standing in this world.
Hey, let's send a DVD to Hillary and Bill, come on.
Because engagement can more durably lift.
Obama, you helped Iran finance global Islamic terrorism and gain nuclear capabilities. Fuck you.
Each of us brings something to the table, informed by our history, by our experience, by our
Oh,
background.
and the FISA memo? Yeah, like you and the Hillary Clinton and the DNC colluded with Russians to get dirt on Donald Trump to take down his campaign, and that just backfired on you today because the FISA memo has been released, and a whole bunch of
I don't know if
and
they were colluding with the Russians because Putin did an interview on Russian media saying
they
that
colluded with some Russians, maybe not like in Putin's administration, but they did collude with some Russians to get dirt
in
on Donald Trump.
October before the election in 2016, Putin said, "I do not understand why so many Americans are voting for Hillary Clinton. She is more communist than me." He said,
All right. Anyway, the FISA memo has a bunch of you demon craps running scared. Ha ha ha!
Putin said that if people voted for Hillary Clinton, they'd be voting for war. If they voted for Donald Trump, they would be voting for peace, and that was in October before the election. So I don't think
Yeah, okay.
his administration was in on it.
To this building, the first thing I noticed and was struck by was how small it was. And you realize there's nobody else.
But Hillary did collude with the Russians because she gave Putin 25% of our uranium. That happened.
She colluded with Russians, probably not with Putin himself, but she did collude with Russians to get dirt on Donald Trump. That was what the Steele dossier was all about.
Yeah. But she did sell Putin 25% of our uranium in 2015.
Alright.
In terms of bringing the Paris Agreement into force. I'm always feeling a sense of urgency to try to get
Ha ha ha!
possible.
Fuck the Paris Accords.
This office is a singular privilege.
Fuck the Paris
The
Accords.
ability to press levers and push buttons that
That's what they were talking about in
are
that
different
scene.
from any other job you're ever going to have, and hopefully you've set a course.
Nuclear
and then
Security
you pass the
Summit.
baton.
Yeah, right.
You know that you're going to have to see some other folks continue.
You gave Iran nuclear weapons, Obama,
The Obama
and Bill
administration
Clinton
has
gave
just one more year
North
to make
Korea
changes
nuclear
to US
weapons in 1994, so
US president will reverse.
a nuclear security summit is
happens in the fourth quarter.
kind of counterintuitive.
Okay.
Alright.
I am Curtis. I'm
Let's listen
coming
to what
in.
they're saying.
Oh my gosh, I see my friends. I recognize.
Can I introduce you?
Don't really care what they're saying. There's Huma Abedin.
Yes, and then you have your natural reaction that I'm soaking up like that.
Maybe that's not Huma Abedin.
Are we seeing the creation of the president's foreign policy legacy?
Republicans are blaming Obama
That
for
legacy
foreign
is dog
policy
shit.
failures.
I feel like we should have, a clock up.
Wait,
with the
I know
days
who
counting
Samantha
down,
Power is. I
because
remember her.
What we have set in motion, whether Cuban normalization,
thought
climate
Susan Rice
change,
was the
Syria,
ambassador. Was the
incredibly
American
important issues of our national security.
Or is
All of that
is
is
she
at
another
stake.
ambassador? I don't know who
A
that
lot
is.
of people are running
Susan
to
Rice
succeed
is
President
the
Obama.
United
Republicans
Nations
have the largest
ambassador to
primary
Brazil.
field ever. 17 candidates are now in
I
the
don't know who
race,
Samantha
promised to
Power is. I've
undo
never heard
much
of
of
her.
his work on climate and foreign policy.
One of the things I want to do with the time remaining, is to just try to convey that this is a different way of doing foreign policy. It's less militarized and it's more engagement focused, and the areas where we're actually
Yeah, if you mean
making
like
progress and
America
achieving good
gets
results in foreign
fucked up
policy
the ass, I guess you
areas
could
where we've
count
been able
that
to
as engagement.
re-elevate diplomacy. The Cuba opening, Paris Climate Accord, the Iran deal.
Fuck all that.
Not all our
We're dealing
foreign
with a
policy
country,
is
Iran, that has
based
been
off
a
the
sworn
military.
adversary of the United States for over 35 years.
This deal would
Yeah, but under Obama, Obama's foreign policy is having us
This
get
is the
rammed up
longest
the
we've
ass.
ever seen a Secretary of State outside the United States working on one project in decades.
Today marks the moment that the Iran nuclear agreement transitions from an ambitious
You guys
set of
fucked us
promises
over with
on
that
paper
deal.
to
Iran chants
measurable
death
action
to America,
in progress.
and you give them
Thank you very
billions of
much,
dollars
everybody.
and help them get nuclear
I
capabilities.
think undoing the potential of a nuclear weapon is about as serious a moment in diplomacy as you can get. Yeah,
You weren't undoing their capability of getting a nuclear weapon. You enhanced their capability.
But you're on to the next, Syria, Yemen, Libya, North Korea, climate change. We have about as full of an agenda as I think any administration has ever had. Everybody, thank you very much. Take care.
You did good on the reading deck. You were actually blasting through. If we had, we didn't do our 5 pages, but we did. I think we made substantial progress.
I think you're trying to trick me about the donut. So
I'm not trying to trick you. Honestly, I'm trying to come up with a compromise.
I think you are. Okay, if I...
You think I'm going to say I'm going to get you a donut and not get you one?
Yeah.
You think I'm that kind of person? Damn. Alright, all set.
What do you mean, damn?
I mean, no, I'm not the kind of
This
person.
part's stupid.
How could you think that? I think the key is when does the Secretary General arrive? So I don't want to be late for him, but everybody else I can be a little bit late for. I have been struck initially as a journalist in Bosnia and now certainly as a diplomat at the extent to which discussions about what to do about problems seem completely removed from those problems. This is Dina, the Jordanian ambassador. She's the one that's willing to pray for a soul here today. So for me, it wasn't some conscious choice where I sat around with my team and said, I'm going to do things differently. We are going to take ourselves out to the field as often as possible and sit down with the people who are affected most by conflicts. It was just instinct. It was how I used to report stories. I'm okay without the umbrella. I'm okay. Bearing witness is both an instinct and a responsibility. It is also the best way I know of convincing people.
She wasn't wearing a
to
hijab.
achieve as a diplomat.
Every time, like, women in America, even if they're, like, in government positions and stuff, they go to Muslim country, it's, like, practically required now for them to wear a hijab. Like, Hillary Clinton's even worn a hijab. And she says she's for women.
15 minutes right now? You should go, no, not to talk to me. You should go into this booth. They take you, they'll put a pair of glasses on you and they take you into the Zatri refugee camp. Okay. Thank you.
Virtual reality, using virtual reality to go into a refugee camp. Why not
And then they hook you up and talk to a person in the
That's
camp.
what they were doing? Using virtual reality? Wow.
I'm well.
Well, maybe they were live casting from somewhere,
It's just right there, and I'm going to try to go to
why not just, like, go there directly? Why use technology to do
money
that?
and, get people to support these people in the camps and,
Yeah, they're
anyway,
using, like,
but otherwise,
some kind of
that day,
goggles or something to go to, like,
they hit the
I guess remote cast into, like, some refugee camp
Seriously, if you do
somewhere.
nothing else I ever ask you to do,
That's a waste of
just do this
taxpayer
thing.
stuff.
Really, okay, it's
Yeah,
really
they should
amazing.
just go there
It's right
personally.
there.
It's exactly like being here. Only more expensive.
I know State is circle, but I'm actually beginning to get it.
Was that good? Yes, Josh.
Like at a certain point, the Iranians
Doug's first
have
movie.
like
Yes. For those of you who don't know, that's a reference to Doug's first movie where yes. Enough. Don't talk about Doug's first movie. All right. Shush. I just had to make that joke. Fine.
Massive dead cockroach, like, right under this chair.
There are nights sometimes when you hear the rats scurrying around in the ceiling too.
That's gross. Ugh. A dead cockroach cameoed in a documentary about Barack Obama.
Great is who we are as a country
Nice.
and what we do around the world. My job defies like easy descriptions, but I oversee the
Somebody
president
send that footage to the cockroach and Men in Black.
What is he doing and saying? What are we communicating about foreign policy? I mean, that's the core of my job. So I added this line. In Germany, of all places, we know the last thing the world needs is more walls. And I've been on every foreign trip except one, so I tend to live trip to trip or speech to speech or finding the priorities that he wants me to focus on.
Ben's one of the longest and closest advisors to the president. Ben, as few others do,
Susan Rice, National Security Advisor. Yeah, she was working with Obama. I knew it.
But they see many
she was the United Nations
eye to
ambassador under Bush.
Very, valued by the president, I know.
Having started in the campaign together,
No,
and worked together
Condoleezza
before he was
Rice.
the White House, you just see
Are they related?
creative, strategic,
Come on, it was Condoleezza.
passionate,
Right.
irreverent,
Are they related though?
stubborn.
I don't know. I don't think
He
so.
doesn't care if everyone in the room
They look
ever
the
is going
same.
in a direction.
Yeah, they
He'll
do.
interrupt and
Condoleezza
say,
Rice is hotter
"What
than
are you
Susan
people
Rice."
talking about?"
Condoleezza, they're both black, and they
No.
both look the same. They don't look. No, Condoleezza Rice is much better looking, I think. Whatever. That's unimportant, I guess. It is.
We're actually doing some things that question certain underlying assumptions of the conduct of American foreign policy. He's been saying.
Oh,
for
did
10
you
years
hear that,
American
like, the Republican
assumptions
Congress
rooted in
voted to take America out of the
what we
United
stand for and
Nations?
how we act.
No, I didn't hear about that.
And not just in our ability to
Wow.
impose our will on people, in part because it doesn't work.
Yeah, fuck the United Nations. It was on Monday, I think. This Monday? A couple of days ago, yeah, I read about it.
No, I haven't heard about that. I've heard
main
about
thing for
the
them
release of the
is
FISA
drawing
memo.
armed progress.
That's what I heard
How far
about
this
today.
place has come, how tied that is to
We need to get out of the
us.
United Nations.
And our whole theory, not just of Vietnam, but frankly, foreign policy, right, is that engagement is going to make it more possible for us to make progress on this.
This is why I really thought you ought to come to this part of the country, because it's just so, you know.
Well, and there
a lot happening here.
Yeah. And then how many questions do you want to take?
I'll do whatever you want. I don't care.
No, take 2 and let us deal with it. You don't want to subject yourself to too much.
All right. Great. My sitting up here is really symbolic. I'm not here as John Kerry. I'm here as a small representation of a very much larger group of veterans in this country.
Oh, that's when he sold us out to the Viet Cong for money.
To deal and to trade.
You're
in
a
violence,
traitor, John Kerry.
and who were given the chance to die the biggest nothing
you
in history.
Earlier this month,
very
you told the Palestinians to ignore President Trump because he wasn't going to be president much longer. Fuck
loss
you.
of friends as a result
did
of
that?
bad decisions
Yep.
being made. You know, I've been very blessed to be able to go through a progression of experiences.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go anywhere with
the value of
teacher's
experience.
process.
When I think about the trajectory of his career, from somebody who was fighting in the war to somebody who was protesting against the war to somebody who helped bring about reconciliation to now.
He was actually someone who gave
This is a reflection
top secret
of
intelligence
the
to the
work
Viet
of
Cong during the war.
decades.
How are you? So nice to meet you.
She went to Stanford. I didn't get into Stanford.
You know, well, there are a lot of places you didn't get in. Me neither. You know, this
So
is
glad
one
you're
of the
not
favorite
president
things that I
anymore,
do
you
in
bastard.
just about every country where we have the time.
So glad that bitch Hillary's
is to
not
set up one of
president
these
either.
forums and just hear what's on the minds of young people around the world.
You are a very great leader, and we are young leaders. Do you have any advice on how can we be great like you?
Oh, wow.
Kiss a lot of ass.
One of the things that I've learned about being a leader is
You're not a leader, Obama. You're an ass
people are
kisser.
motivated only by money, or they're only motivated by power, or these very concrete incentives.
It's funny
people
how
are
like
also
the
inspired by
very
stories.
people who talk about
Think about the United States of America.
not being motivated by power and
We
money
have a really
actually
good
are
story.
motivated by power and money.
Called the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, which you shit
We
on.
hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. It was just a good story that they were telling about.
It's kind of funny how like he used that
all
phrase,
men-
all men are created equal, but in today's politically correct society, saying men is practically a crime now.
Let's see.
All men are created equal. How dare you
I'll
say
be right there,
that?
Josh. That's if you want to think.
Say all people,
Kind of funny that you would
even
say,
of non-binary
walking home on
persuasion.
9/11.
kind of funny that
I
you
was
would say that all men are
23 years
created
old.
equal when you said
My life was
that
planned out
should the
for me.
political
I was
wind
gonna go to
shift
New York and
in
try
an
to write
uncomfortable
novels,
and dangerous
I remember just thinking, I'm
position
gonna
to
do
side
something
with the
different.
Muslims.
I don't know
Yeah.
what, but it's going to be about this.
Yeah, whoever made this documentary, ha ha ha, Trump's
It is
president, not
Monday,
Hillary,
and we're
not
in
Bernie.
Illinois,
Hillary
and
cheated
this
Bernie out of the
speech
nomination.
is
Ha 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 ha.
People sometimes think we write these things like weeks in advance, and given
You know
how
it's
busy
funny
we
how
are,
you can
we
only
don't.
rent this documentary in Google Play.
These
You
are
can't
the
buy
remarks
it.
that the
You can
president
rent
will
it for
give
like
in
you can only rent
Hiroshima
it for like
after he
$7.
tours this peace memorial. One of the things you do
Because
when
we
you
started
write the
watching
speech
it,
often
like,
is you read the other speeches that people
we
have
have
given
like
in
48
that
hours
certain
after
sense,
watching
and
it
there's nothing
for
that I could
it
find
goes
that
back
was similar to
before
to
you
this,
lose access to it and you
it's
have to
pretty,
rent it again. And if you don't watch
thing.
it, you
'Cause,
have
I mean, other
30
people
days
give
to watch
speeches
it.
in Hiroshima, but not as the president of the country that dropped the bomb. And he may completely rewrite it. I don't know, because he'll have a very personal view of what to say.
I mean, not the issue, but just how the last couple of weeks been for you, just personally.
I'll answer it because what the hell, this hasn't come out for a while. I mean, they were pretty awful.
Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes.
Ben Rhodes.
One of the president's top aides.
An article from the New York Times Magazine has stirred days of controversy.
A 10,000-word profile of Ben Rhodes.
I've actually never done a profile like that myself, but the New York Times Magazine seemed like, fine, I'll do this one. And we talked about everything from Cuba to Burma to Iran to speech writing. So I actually didn't know exactly what the angle of the article was.
Rhodes ripped the Washington press corps, called the American foreign policy establishment the blob, and bragged about the echo chamber he orchestrated to sell the Iran nuclear deal.
When I read it, I immediately felt, well, that Iran section is a little weird. And frankly, that was the author's view, not mine. And frankly, it's his view. He's entitled to it. I don't agree with it.
New York Times Magazine used quotes from Rhodes himself to portray him as having sold the Iran nuclear deal. Most of the reporters were on average 27-year-olds and knew, as he put it, literally nothing about world affairs.
What he clearly views as a stupid, compliant, lazy press corps.
Turn it off for a sec.
Literally know nothing.
I don't want to take, bits of quotes that were pulled out of different places. Those of you who have worked with me know how much I respect the media.
Did you not? When you say they know nothing.
Look, again, I'm not gonna parse quotes. I think I have a body of experience, and you can make your judgments based on that body of experience.
Thank you.
Sometimes I felt like the personal attacks on me were a way of avoiding the actual
The Iran
questions
nuclear
that
deal
were
was a
being
piece of shit.
Because it's easier to just attack me for
We
being
got the
an asshole
shaft
than
with
to
that stupid deal.
think about.
You vaguely remember the Iran
why do we
nuclear
keep getting
scandal?
divorced?
I vaguely remember his
But
involvement
what I
with
hoped,
it. Oh.
and I actually was talking to the president about this, is somehow we can use the rest of this year to keep surfacing these questions. It's about war and peace that he's been wrestling with for the last 7.5 years. And just going to Hiroshima, that's going to surface some of these questions.
Excuse me.
The Hiroshima speech clearly wasn't connected to a particular policy, but told a story. From my perspective, it was a story about the inevitable tragedy of war.
71 years ago, on a bright, cloudless morning, death fell from the sky and the world was changed.
Yeah, well.
Flash of light.
As terrible as that was, it happened because the Japanese surprise attacked us at Pearl Harbor.
Mere words cannot give voice to such suffering. But we have a shared responsibility to look directly into the eye of history and ask what we must do differently to curb such suffering again. We must change our mindset about war itself to prevent conflict through diplomacy. Ordinary people understand this, I think. They do not want more war.
I had a chance to say hello to that gentleman who had survived the war.
If people
who
don't
had taken
want
the time
war,
to find
isn't open
families
borders
of
kind of counterintuitive to that?
American POWs who had also
Open
died,
borders leads to war.
insisted that their names be enshrined.
No, open
that they
borders
were
doesn't
recognized,
necessarily lead to
and
war.
to
It just
see
leads to the
how much
the
a moment like this meant
homogenization
to him.
of like
It's
a one
ultimately
world
where
globalized culture. But it does lead to war.
Government, diplomacy,
Very civil anyway. Maybe.
has to be rooted in that moment, in that belief in a common humanity. Without being naive, understanding that the world is a dangerous and difficult place, without being so idealistic that you don't protect and preserve America's core interests. But wherever we can make those kinds of connections, I think in some small increment we're making the world a little bit better.
is missing from this memo is under atrocity prevention. You know, where does Boko Haram fall on this? If it's not part of this document, then why would we spend 10 days traveling to 4 countries? We have to know what we and I am seeking to achieve in 2016, and without that, we can't make the kinds of choices that we need to make, given the time we have left. We're all just passing through these jobs, and I think I feel the urgency of these, you know, incredibly challenging conflicts. We can't leave that hanging. We've got to make sure we have re-engaged in a way that really acutely advances U.S. national interests, so that it'll be harder to dismantle in the event that you know, we take a different turn.
Everything you did did not advance U.S. interests.
Copy, Rick, thanks.
Alright, let's listen. I want to know what she's talking about. I heard her mention Boko Haram and stuff.
Hi, sweetie, it's me calling. Just been trying to reach you during the day because we haven't chatted. So I'm about to take off tonight, and I wanted to try to talk to you before I go. Love you. Take care. Hi, everybody. Bye-bye.
We're on tight schedule there, and guys will have to
Pretty much all that.
Really move fast. The clock is ticking because I would like to put a few things in a better place before we finish. And Syria is clearly one of them, but it's very, very difficult.
I wonder how they got those shots outside the plane.
Largest ever diplomatic push for peace in Syria is underway this morning in Vienna.
Top diplomats from over 20 countries and representatives from several international bodies.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is hopeful about delivering a breakthrough.
I think I'm an optimist by nature. I will never stop trying to stop people from waging a war if I think that there's a chance of finding a way forward. Our job is to try to find a way to a negotiating table and to a political solution.
We're the State Department, we're not the Pentagon, so our big resource is not things like F-16s. What we have is the time and energy of our senior diplomats. And we have a secretary who, while 72 years old, has got a boundless amount of energy. And so we got 30 hours of meetings over the 2 days. Quite busy, but you know, when you're half the age of your boss, you can't very well complain too much about wanting to get more sleep.
If somebody could put that call in, I'd appreciate it. I'd love to be able to go into the opera. We don't have much time, unfortunately. In a normal life.
I think it's going to take a selfie. Thank you very much.
The nature of diplomatic is I'm grateful to the President for trusting me and empowering me and giving me a pretty long leash and letting me go out there and take risks and try to fight for things that some people think are impossible.
John Kerry and Barack Obama have sold out the Syrian people.
250,000 dead, millions of refugees.
The direction that
Syria is going, it's becoming a failed state that
ultimately is going to threaten
our very security.
Yeah.
My mood all the time on Syria is pained and fraught by the complexity of the challenge. But we have an opening. I'm not overly optimistic, but I think any opening that can end the suffering potentially and create the space for political settlement is one we are obliged to explore.
Russia would benefit from there being a political resolution inside of Syria that can end the violence. At the same time, Russia wants, it says, to go after Al-Qaeda and ISIL.
Syria's tough because there are a lot of competing interests. What we're trying to do is get the Russians to get aligned better. And after
you know, Levant
as much
is like
suspicion,
a territory
as much
inside
doubt,
Israel.
given Ukraine, Crimea, and other things, this is not easy either.
When you say this is from like 2 years ago, Josh. It doesn't matter anymore.
What Russia has done,
we're just doing this to make fun of Obama.
Wrong is a matter of history. At the same time,
people have no idea how subversive it is when they call ISIS ISIL.
The Russian Federation.
Because Levant's a territory of Israel.
Part of a neighbor.
When you say ISIL, you're saying that ISIS is taking control
often
of
I'm
Israel.
Also working with Russia in the EU session. Russia just blasted her. Like, come on, take it to them. They bully, and if they just are allowed to bully, they just bully more.
Man, this is boring.
Awe of the refugees who've traveled so far. Anyone who wants to share, I and my team would be very grateful to hear it.
Me and my friends who have families in Syria, they are thinking, and you can't help them. Sorry.
It is heart-wrenching. I wake up in the night thinking about it. I go to bed thinking about it. It is the most catastrophic humanitarian situation of our time. So working with Secretary Kerry, that is atop the priority list. It's also atop the degree of difficulty list. So we have our work cut out for us and a short period of time left to work with.
And Trump did what you guys didn't even really try to do.
In Washington,
Trump
foreign policy is basically like the Middle East and Russia.
Well, you can't defeat
and
any
maybe have those
ISIS.
two things.
They're just going to hide and regroup. But
Trump and those are all very important.
Scattered
but,
ISIS.
American foreign
Obama
policy,
just
if we are
wanted
going
to
to
leave
remain
them behind.
the global leader,
Yeah.
has to be global.
I bet they got those outside shots of Air Force One by drones.
Well, this is inside the plane.
Yeah.
It's shooting outside. It's shooting
After
to the outside, but it's
the
shooting
election,
inside of the plane.
we looked at the world and decided where we wanted to do things affirmatively. The thing I asked to do was Cuba.
The Cuban deal was also
But on Cuba, I was the principal negotiator. And we actually got a lot farther than I ever imagined. We just look at the American and Cuban flags next to each other and become overcome with emotion. And it was about the U.S. and Cuba, but it was about something bigger than that too. It was about that these two countries could try to put the past behind them. And maybe we all can do that. So we have a whole team that's visiting different places the president might go while he's here. Because we see it as an historic visit, the first time the U.S. president's going to visit Laos. And also, it will frankly just help Americans confront that part of our history, which is not a good part of our history.
Now we got to the part where Trump gets nominated. Ha ha! You guys are gonna make fun of him, but joke's on you. Nah, 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 nah.
What were the plagiarism claims on Trump?
I don't think so. I know Hillary Clinton and her team very well. I could do something for Hillary Clinton.
You said that.
I think so. I think she'll do it.
I just think we should.
Surely? I mean, what happened in England, it's sort of...
Yeah, no, that shows you that anything can happen. The foreign minister asked me about it, asked me about Trump. And to be asked, by a foreign minister and then a young exchange participant, just shows you how much it's permeated. It's already having a cost. I mean, it's already just the rhetoric and the divisiveness and the profile of the campaign is clearly making people around the world think, what's going on in America?
Yep, and then at Trump's State of the Union, when the Republicans were chanting USA, USA,
Oh
USA.
yeah, Representative Luis Gutierrez got up and stormed out.
Yeah, so the fact that you're like
Maria and I are
putting in a song about
but we are family.
putting in a piece of the national anthem, just like
to get to be a part of.
That's just like
as I wrote here this morning, I remember
beyond
when I was
hypocritical.
sitting as you are now. It was
like
36 years ago when I came to this country.
USA, 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 and then like you get all these idiots like Sally Khan saying that
one of the characteristics that defines us as
chanting
immigrants
scares her and stuff like that, and then she
is we
says, "Oh, I'm a
never lose sight of
patriot,
the
but
fact
this
that
scares
we
me."
might not have made
You guys aren't
the head of
patriots.
the ACLU.
No, she's an MSNBC anchor.
Oh, right. Oh, Sally Cohn also said that Melania wearing a white dress at Trump's State of the Union was white supremacist.
The remarkable bravery of my mother.
You guys aren't patriots. You hate America.
And my dad. And the tremendous
In fact,
generosity
Obama
of
has
this country.
been. Obama was seen
I would
like
not be here.
I forgot when, but
And
he
I
was
wouldn't get to
seen
do
carrying
so
a
many of the
book
things I get to
written
do.
by
I
Fareed
wouldn't get to be
Zakaria
the
that
person I
said
am.
a post-American
And
world or something
serving
like that.
as I do
Isn't he like a
every day at the
CNN news
United
anchor?
Nations. It's surreal.
He's
As
a
an immigrant,
contributor.
I get to go to work every day and there's a placard that says United States of America, and I, an immigrant, get to represent this country. Right? None of you lose sight of that. The ability to shape America is now your right, and we are counting on you to exercise it. We welcome you with open arms. Thank you so much.
Yes, legal immigrants you do welcome with open arms, but you want illegal immigrants. That's the only way you guys can get votes now, is shipping in illegal immigrants.
Many of whom are permanent violent felons.
The president just had his bilateral meeting with President Xi of China. Frankly, every bilateral meeting in a summit room, been to hundreds of them, it looks basically like this, a hotel conference room, a table. So they just finished meeting here about 15 minutes ago. And the president sits right here, there's his tea. You're sitting here and you're realizing the scope of what has been done for 8 years just in this one relationship, the stakes in the relationship. I mean, the whole world kind of depends on the U.S. and China being able to figure out how to work things out and get along. And look, I've gotten in trouble for talking about this, but we're in a meeting with the leader of China and the United States talking about the global economy and climate and the transition to a green economy and the South China Sea, and none of these things are being discussed in the United States. They're talking about Donald Trump's Twitter feed.
Donald Trump's Twitter feed.
That big one, right? Now they have a lot of animals in Chad. Now show me Nigeria.
No, I know Nigeria.
Show me Nigeria. There's Nigeria. Good job, Deck. Can I tell you about Nigeria?
Yeah.
So there were all these girls, and they were working really hard in school, just like Declan's been doing. They were learning to read, and they were amazing, amazing girls. And these really bad people came and took them away.
Are they fighting right now?
They're fighting right now, but Mommy's going in order to bring more money.
What did you say? Are they crying?
Yeah, probably a lot of people are crying, unfortunately.
After this, I think.
This is a Boko Haram-centered trip. We really want to bring more international attention to what this monstrous movement is doing. It is amazing that a group of kids who are just trying to study and improve their lives could get taken, and that 2 years later we'd not have made a dent in finding them. So to bring media, to bring a full U.S. government delegation from across the sectors, it's with all the suffering that's going on right now in the world and all the terror,
happened in
it's a horrible
2014.
time to be a victim.
If you guys didn't even try to find those girls, they were later burned.
Is this our entrance? Jesus.
All you guys do is hashtag free the girls, I think. Remember that, Peter? Kind of.
Bring back our girls now and alive. Can we please take our seats?
Yeah, that's not going to happen. They were burned to death.
No problem at all. No, this is the most important part of my day.
As I stand before you, Madam Ambassador, Aisha Ezekiel is now
Yeah, that's what liberals think. They think that social media campaigns are going to work.
Captivity for 738 days, and they are waiting to be brought back home. As long as Chibok girls are in captivity,
Fortunately, in situations like that, violence is the only recourse necessary.
We do not have any moral justification as parents to tell our children to go to school when we cannot protect them.
As a parent, as a human being, I can't even imagine the frustration that you feel. And I'm sure having a senior U.S. official come here only exacerbates that frustration because you think we're the superpower. If we really wanted this, we could just snap our fingers and make it happen. And I wish that were so, but we have to bring back these girls by pursuing military force
Which
and
you guys never
by
did.
respecting human rights
All
on
you
the
guys,
ground.
all you guys did was
so that more
hashtag social
terrorists
media
are
campaigns.
created. We are bringing more resources to bear every day. What I can tell you as a personal representative of President Obama is that we will never give up, just as you will never give up. We will never give up.
God, this movie sucks.
It's a documentary.
I know, but it sucks. I'm bored.
One of my most frustrating things is we were in Paris for the Paris talks.
They're really not giving us most to work on. Most of our material is like
climate change issues, but some of them figured it out.
what we remember Obama
But the kind of
said.
cheap headline political
Like
press
when he
just kept
thought,
asking,
well, of
what's the
course,
bigger
this
threat?
is in favor of
ISIL or
Obama.
climate change?
Right. Like when he thought that
The thing
no
is,
one was
they
listening.
know we think
Occasionally,
This wasn't going to be like Denise D'Souza's
but they want us to
expose
say
about
that so
Hillary.
that there's like a,
Right.
then they can debate on cable news that Obama thinks climate change is bigger threat than terrorism. He doesn't get it, you know. And it's like, well, like one thing could destroy like the world, you know. I mean, I said, well, they're both threats.
Terrorism can destroy the
Just
world.
the fact that it's
This
still
isn't the
viewed
day
as
after
like
tomorrow,
a
you
political
jackass.
vulnerability.
The world heats up, it gets 2 more degrees. It's gonna die. No! We need to give trillions of dollars to the Paris Climate Accords. America needs to give all this money to fight global climate change.
We not only need to pay our share for the Paris Climate Peace Agreement, but we need to pay all the other countries' shares too.
Yeah, none of the other countries are gonna do jack shit.
China, Mexico, India, Russia, and a whole lot of other countries were given legal room to like double and triple their carbon emissions, while we had to like cut ours in half.
Make me a more urgent advocate and hopefully a better advocate.
My ass is
Multitasking. No other issue. I mean,
Sure,
Libya
it's
doesn't
hard.
stop, or Yemen, or Syria, or whatever. I just had a conversation on the bridge of this ship with our team that's working on the issue of a cessation of hostilities on Syria. My job is to keep fighting and keep working. And if I wasn't an optimist, I wouldn't be able to do this job.
You know, you created this situation in Syria by creating ISIS, you jackass.
That the Russians are your partners in trying to get a ceasefire and a political resolution, when they're actually Assad's
The roots of
partners.
ISIS were created a long time ago. Al-Qaeda was funded by Ronald Reagan and stuff.
Yes, but ISIS came into being shortly after Benghazi. That's when the situation in Syria deteriorated, was after
Trying to work at
Benghazi.
it, and you know, Ronald Reagan sat down with Gorbachev. Nixon sat down with Mao Zedong and went to China, and people in his own party vilified him for, you know, diverting from the orthodoxy, but it made the difference. And we've learned through history, you can not only avoid war, you can actually make peace.
Oh, look, Obama's holding his own umbrella this time.
There's one of the faults, which is the way in which we demonstrate that we're serious about a problem.
Well, he usually had like a marine holder
The way in which
for
we
him.
establish our own credibility on an issue is by demonstrating that we're willing to use military force.
Wow, look at that.
There are no American combat forces in Laos. We do have aerial reconnaissance. We do have perhaps some other activities. I won't discuss those other activities at this time.
It was a secret war. Over 9 years, from 1964 to 1973, the United States dropped more than 2 million tons of bombs here in Laos. More than we dropped on Germany and Japan combined during all of World War II. It made Laos per person the most heavily bombed country in history. Many of the bombs that were dropped were never exploded. Over the years, thousands of Laotians have been killed or injured. Farmers tending their fields, children playing. How many victims do you still see every year, do you think?
Last year we have 50, so it seems like
It's coming down.
coming down every year.
And if we can get rid of it.
Yeah, because of the support from the US government and different governments. So
You know, here we are, and there's still people who are being killed and maimed by bombs that we dropped decades ago. You know, if we cannot think that through before we get involved militarily, then we shouldn't.
That's a good point, I guess. Yeah. But I hate how, like, the Democrats and the liberals are so willing to
switch up, right? So there are times where
condemn America and bash America for what America did decades ago, but they ignore all the humanity being killed in Laos by bombs that haven't even exploded that still our fault.
Yes, but they ignore like all the
This
like
is a book on
present
America's national parks,
humanitarian
which are our
human rights
efforts to
abuses
preserve
that are going on
our
right
nature.
now by like
We agree
countries that
to
aren't white.
really
A lot of countries
important,
are like
set of
very bad
priorities
human rights
for the United
abusers,
States
and
to partner
as long as they're not
with
white,
Cameroon
the liberals and the Democrats
defeating
aren't going
Boko Haram in
to
the
go
long
out of their way to like condemn them because they only condemn white America.
Impromptu remark. After 3 bilaterals, one of which was with the head of state.
That's good.
Bruce Wharton and I
So
together
do I get a beer?
said,
A beer on the
you get a beer, you get a beer on the plane.
The public stuff, you just don't want to make a mistake
You're right.
and make your job harder because you're the ones pursuing implementation. But
You're out there making sure that American foreign policy is based on values.
I reject that.
You do. I want to.
What you do is you set yourself up for a conversation that says there's values and then there's interests like security. And so I'll hear in meetings with DOD. I agree with Ambassador Power from a values standpoint, but we live in the real world.
But we live in the real world, yeah.
And I'm like, I live in the real world, man.
Exactly.
This is a terrorism problem. It's not a values problem alone.
The U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Samantha Power, is visiting Boko Haram victims. It's called the extreme north, and one politician described it as a region of extremes. And so it has been hard hit by the Boko Haram insurgency.
Well, there has been a long-standing debate in the history of American foreign policy between the so-called realists who believe that states pursue their power and their self-interest, and then there's another camp who have long argued that people need to be at the center of our foreign policy thinking, both because they're people and they deserve respect and dignity, but also because that advances our national security.
One of those shithole countries that Trump mentioned.
What's your password?
It's halfway over, more than halfway. Minawao refugee camp.
Was Boko Haram chasing you?
Oh, okay. They took her husband and her children.
Yes.
Showing you Grandpa Honey's Get Well card that we're sending.
Okay. Cool. Get well soon, Daddy.
No.
It's okay. It's okay.
What are you watching?
It's called The Final Year. It's an Obama documentary.
Your room stinks to high heaven. I'm serious, guys. I cannot believe you do not smell
We'll
it.
do everything in our power to try to
Your room smells like...
Do we have any Febreze? If not, I'll get some tomorrow.
What I would get is I would get one of those things that is motion activated, so every time you move it'll spray more freshener. Plus opening your window up at least once a day.
I've already spoken with them. There's an ambulance right now.
down there.
No, this one doesn't.
Joining us now is NPR's Michelle Kellerman. She's
Okay.
traveling with the
You want
ambassador.
me to
A small boy, he's 7 years old,
wanna, like,
ran in front of one of the cars in the convoy. Apparently he was going to look up one of the helicopters that was overhead and just ran into the street, and one of the cars hit him. Unfortunately, he died. And at the end of the day, Ambassador Power ended up stopping by to visit the parents to express her personal condolences.
The father, you know, they have that strength that I can't even imagine as a parent. But this beautiful boy was playing this time yesterday, and now he's gone. So that's, you know, of course you think about your family. My son is going to be 7 on Sunday.
So Ben, you'll start. I think it makes sense for you to sort of start and walk through the schedule.
I'll get the Putin question and everything, but
Right.
I'll do that.
Right. Okay. Anything else? What have we forgotten?
You'll get there's the only thing we didn't do
Josh Ernest.
for the is like China, the
What's
context
so funny
of
about his last
election.
name?
You know,
Does he
there's
think
got to
of
be some
Ernest?
question about Trump
No.
and
Yeah.
China and you
Press
know, the
secretary. I always thought he was anything
optics
but
of
Ernest.
China. And,
It could also be Trump.
You guys go
That's
downstairs
an
to go to work.
Yeah. Well,
It's
we've
in
got
the
our
mailbox.
case to make.
Okay.
Why that?
It's going to be next to the TV
Unilateral
on the side.
withdrawal.
Okay.
complete isolation of the United States and condemning our children to a future.
Okay, you got the door behind us. Okay. All right.
Stinks to me.
Right. Good afternoon, everybody.
Today, President Obama received an extraordinary letter from Syria, a plea for help from 15 of the last remaining doctors in Aleppo.
It has been an act of real delinquence on our part to stay away from this conflict, which is rippling across the world now.
There appears to be dissent in the White House over the handling
Pressure mounting for President Obama to step up military action against Syria.
Is the president feeling like he needs to once again lay out a pretty detailed defense for not using more military intervention in Syria?
The president has been more than willing to use military force against threats to the United States. If you actually look at his record, he's been much more aggressive about going after terrorists and terrorist networks wherever they are than any other president. In Syria,
Not true.
at no time has there been a clear plan that
Mr. Leading from
could make
behind
the situation
Obama.
demonstrably better.
Despite Vietnam, I'm not a pacifist. I'm not a pacifist even after that experience. I do think that the United States of America has to be able to reinforce our diplomacy with the use of force. And there were debates about that.
There's no issue that we've worked on where there was such a divergence among people who on some issues might be aligned, but on this just saw it very differently.
Samantha and I, we have split in some important ways. You know, she sustains that kind of original idealism around our ability to save lives and make things better. I sit close to the president, and when you're president, you know, he has to think about what is Congress going to do about this? How is this going to be received by the American people? How am I going to measure this against every other priority I have in the world?
So basically
Certainly
what he's
what's
saying is
happening
that
in
he's
Syria is
worried
beyond
about his
frustrating.
decisions
It's
being popular. Every president has to worry about that.
There's no issue where my thoughts and my feelings and my ideas
Sometimes you gotta do the right
have
thing
made such a
regardless of whether or
marginal
not it's popular or
impact
not.
on
Trump's not worried
desperate
about
people.
whether or
The
not his
regime
decisions
of
are
Bashar
popular.
al-Assad
Russia, Iran, and their affiliated militia
probably why
are the
the
ones
American
responsible
people like him
for
so
what
much.
the UN called a complete meltdown of humanity. Of course, I asked myself, had I made an argument differently, I think we could have tried other things, but there's a whole drama there, so.
She'll put her point of view out there as tough as anybody else, but we joke and we commiserate at times when we both were in the same place and didn't get what we wanted. I mean, sometimes we have some tough arguments in this business.
You don't want a groupthink around a table that serious, right? That would be dangerous, in my opinion. Everybody is heard.
Isn't that what the
and then
Democratic
out of
Party is
our
all about?
structured
Isn't that liberalism all about
come
group thinking?
recommendations that we can present to the president, whether unanimously or with a split.
National security debates, when we make big decisions about war and peace, we've got to be able to build coalitions and get others involved.
I had been for military intervention in Syria. I argued for it in this situation. And the president explained his thinking to us. And see exactly what he's talking about. Because basically what he said is
I thought that they would talk
you don't have
more about
international support,
Donald
you don't have
Trump's
congressional support.
campaign.
You don't have any of the things that allow a military intervention.
Maybe only barely referenced it. They
And
probably
he's like,
didn't think it was going to go anywhere.
That's a hell of a way to start a war.
I like about America the fact that we want to do something and not just stand there. But
America
even when
is
we're on the
great
right side of it,
because
we have to
America
understand
is
that
good.
war always
When has
ends with a
America
tragic toll.
ever been great?
Not just on the countries.
Who said that?
Oh, Hillary said America's great because America's good, but like
on our troops,
one of the slogans of the
veterans,
Democratic Party, especially the Antifa
I will
part of it,
become
is
the first
when has
president
America
of
ever
the United
been
States
great?
to serve
You've
2
heard that, right?
full terms during a time of war. I have met our wounded warriors, and I grieved with Gold Star families. Let me
You
say
sold
that
out our
nation
warriors,
owes you
Obama.
an unbelievable debt
You
of
sold out our
gratitude.
citizens.
What perhaps is not on display,
Yep.
except to those
You
of us
gave the
who are
order to
privileged
have
to have worked with
SEAL
him for so
Team
long and
6's
so closely,
identities and
is just
addresses
he
leaked
carries
to
around the
the
human
media.
consequences of his
So
decision
all of
making,
our
the toll that it
Navy
takes
SEAL, all
on
the
just a narrow
Navy SEAL,
slice of our
the
society
entire,
when
all the
we go
members
and
of
fight these
SEAL
wars.
Team 6, them and their families are killed by Al Qaeda operatives.
I mean, his heart is breaking
That was on
for
you.
the people in Aleppo right now.
You've sold out
And
and
his
got
heart has
our
broken
military
every
in
time he's had to call
Gaza.
a
You gave the
family
order to stand
of an
down.
American soldier
You and
who's
Hillary
been
said that
killed or
the
injured
riots
in
at
battle.
Benghazi were because of a YouTube video.
If we had gone full bore into Syria, we wouldn't be sitting here.
And
with the
rumor
conflict.
has it that
We'd
you
have
had
no
the
ranch.
creator of that
We'd have
YouTube video, The Birth of Muhammad, in prison. And
this
he's
is what,
still
you know,
in
what's
prison
striking me
somewhere.
is
It's not a
it's like
rumor.
Iraq didn't happen because we spent $1 trillion in a country
Yeah.
and
It's
have
an open
150,000
secret.
troops there for 8 years, and we didn't fix that country. Why would it be different in Syria?
I genuinely believe that if I could have ordered a limited military operation that would have stopped the bloodshed, it would have been worth the sacrifice. The problem is that the lesson we learned from Iraq and Afghanistan is that in the absence of our willingness to govern these areas, oftentimes our intervention doesn't solve the problem and in fact can make it worse.
Save your hand-wringing, Obama administration officials. Just say that
He has consistently painted himself into a corner, and the options are pretty limited.
As a consequence of the West not having done anything,
It has actually led to the festering of extremism.
the reemergence of
The
Russia,
size of the refugee problem.
I think the president's been a foreign policy disaster.
Trump's erratic position on immigration seems to keep changing.
He is.
Yeah.
He was named under attack.
Who knows? They might, you know.
When I am really stressed and pressed on a deadline, I try to find some space where I can get away from everything. It's fairly Spartan, but yeah, it does the trick.
I'm working on the UN
General Assembly speech, I think he sees it as a kind of farewell address to the world. So it's more thematic about the moment in history that we're in.
Just finally, are you at all getting anxious with poll numbers coming out, showing Trump's numbers vastly up, that everything that you guys have been working on is in jeopardy?
I've never really considered that he has any opportunity to win the election. I've just been operating under the assumption that she was going to win. So if I did think about it, I would freak out. But I'm not there yet.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I have the honor to welcome to the United Nations His Excellency Barack Obama, President of the United States of America.
His Excellency?
He arrives at the UN at a time you've got this on-again, off-again ceasefire in Syria. You've got an election. You have a terror attack in New York and New Jersey over the weekend while the president was here.
I didn't think that the president had that title, His Excellency.
As I address this hall as president for the final time, let me recount the progress that we've made a quarter century after the end of the Cold War. The world is by many measures less violent and more prosperous than ever before. And yet our societies are filled with uncertainty and unease and strife.
You know, I had this huge spike of Samantha last night. I mean, you can ask her about it, but I think she thought it was. I don't want to speak for her, but she was concerned. Is it too optimistic?
It wasn't just me and Ben who were fighting. Obama's in the argument as well, so he's kind of the most important person in the discussion. But our perspectives are just fundamentally different perspectives. President and Ben, want to affirm just how peaceful our cities have become, relatively speaking.
Indeed, our international order has been so successful that we take it as a given that great powers no longer fight world wars. That the end of the Cold War lifted the shadow of nuclear
great powers no longer do fight global wars, but we've got terrorism
is a world where
and terrorism is a global power now.
Yemen, and Syria,
global
and Iraq,
Islamic global
Nigeria,
terrorism
Cameroon,
is a
Chad,
global power.
Central African Republic, Burundi, South Sudan, Darfur, the list, Afghanistan, of course, Venezuela imploding.
We basically end up having a long debate about how bad this moment is.
There are concerns about terrorism, and there is a fear of the other, and where all the trend lines on democracy, right now at least, are going in the wrong direction.
Whereas the president's saying, for all these problems, like, this is actually the best time to be alive in human history, I think she felt that that was potentially discordant with the mood.
Thank you very much.
As heartbreaking as events are around the world today, the truth is that the levels of conflict and violence that we're experiencing so far in the 21st century pale in comparison to what we saw in the 20th. The question is, can we sustain that trend line?
The world won't necessarily see it, but in this week of intensified diplomacy, we have done a lot.
The UN General Assembly is, Secretary sometimes jokingly refers to it as diplomatic speed dating. I think he did more than 70 meetings last year on an extremely wide range of topics. You take advantage of the fact that everybody's in one place, and you can get a lot of business done that would take you maybe months, if not years, absent that opportunity.
Today, the United States and Russia are announcing a plan which we hope has the ability to provide a turning point, a moment of change.
In order for that deal to come into effect, we need to see 7 days of relative calm, and ultimately it's incumbent on Russia to deliver the Syrian regime.
I'm here today. I called this summit to assist the world's displaced people and refugees.
65 million displaced people, more than at any time since World War II, stands out as the sort of iconic example of the international system not delivering. So he's decided to try to use his last General Assembly to mobilize commitments.
Today's commitment means that we're going to be creating employment opportunities for more than 220,000 refugees.
Fuck you, George
There's been
Soros.
no end to the opportunities to probe and push and cajole. In Colombia, we helped sign a peace treaty that brings to end the longest conflict in the hemisphere. We were able to get over the threshold of 55 nations signing up for the Global Climate Change Agreement of Paris.
Now, we got a pacifier that fell.
And Obama pulled us
and
out.
could
Ha ha ha.
pose a danger
No,
to the
not
president.
Obama. Trump pulled us out. Ha ha ha.
We had bilateral
Trump
meetings
pulled
today
us out
with
of the
Iraq,
bullshit
which is very
peace
positive.
accords,
Premier
Trump,
China.
of the bullshit
Trilateral
Paris,
with Japan,
climate change,
with
yeah.
North Korea, the nuclear testing. Over the weekend, I read a story that referred to the U.S.-Russia plan as, quote, flawed and full of caveats. Flawed compared to what? Compared to nothing?
He's completely undeterrable. He knows his odds in Syria. But his answer is, oh, so the alternative is to just walk away when, you know, this number of lives is at stake? I've got to try. I've got to see what we can do here and use the time we have.
Let's figure out how we make something better. And I said, you guys have to think about rounding us out tomorrow. That's it. And then after a few days, maybe we could think about opening the gym. You know, you can't make this thing out of nothing.
American warplanes bombed the Syrian army by mistake.
Mr. Secretary, the Syrian military is saying the 7-day ceasefire is over.
It'd be good if they didn't talk first to the press, but if they talked to the people who are actually negotiating this. It's just so frustrating because we really had an agreement that could have worked. And unfortunately, we have some people who didn't want to cooperate. It's like so much in diplomacy. If a country wants to do something, you know, you just can't sometimes get them to shift gears. And so when our guys accidentally hit 70 soldiers and the other guys didn't believe it was accidental, and then on Sunday, the Assad regime attacked a humanitarian convoy and boom.
In a brutal war, a new low. The food for 78,000 people targeted. Russia says it didn't do it, nor did Syrian aircraft. It blames rebel fire.
What have we said publicly?
What we've said last night in the background, and what we're prepared to say now is that whether it was the regime or the Russians are responsible. And it's absolutely an airstrike, and everyone is comfortable confirming it.
Because it's an airstrike, that only leaves two possibilities anyway.
And DoD was very firm that it was not any sort of U.S. operation or coalition operation.
And so what are we saying about then the future of the agreement?
So while it's suffered a serious blow, we're still working to advance it, and we're looking for steps from the Russians. Doubts are very high. And the Russians have put out drone footage of the convoy. And
just to make clear to everybody,
they're saying that the opposition must have taken action to strike that convoy. That this
is fucking sick, even by their senators. There are no consequences for anybody for bombing this convoy, are there? Right.
Condemnation of the international community.
Yeah.
Russians seem to care deeply about that. Yes.
Plain common sense.
All of this stuff was painstakingly negotiated by people who really know what they're doing, and so the fact that that convoy ended up getting struck certainly felt like far from an accident.
Many said that it could have been a rocket or an artillery shelling. That was what the initial reports were. Then helicopters or warplanes were mentioned. So I think we need to refrain from emotional reactions. And we insist on a very thorough and impartial investigation of the attack on the humanitarian convoy. Thank you very much.
I listened to my colleague from Russia, and I sort of felt a little bit like there's sort of in a parallel universe here. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts.
Ah, so doesn't this
President
fly
John
in the
Adams
face
once
of
said,
everyone
facts
has
are
their own
stubborn
truth?
things. Yes, the coalition did hit people on Saturday. We did. A terrible accident. But I got to tell you, people running around with guns on the ground from the air is a very different thing from trucks in a convoy with big UN markings all over them. On Monday, 28 workers were killed in an outrageous, sustained, 2-hour attack directed at a fully authorized humanitarian mission near Aleppo. Fully authorized. There are only 2 countries that have airplanes that are flying in that particular area: Russia and Syria. Those are facts. The primary question is no longer what do we know. The primary question is collectively what are we going to do about it?
Well, the Russian Federation doesn't care about atrocities committed against people. Maybe would sooner atrocities, didn't have that their ally weren't perpetrating atrocities, maybe, but certainly wasn't motivated by that. That's not when Putin wakes up in the morning and doesn't think, how can I prevent mass atrocities today? And then became a party to the conflict and was part of carrying out atrocities.
Are you truly incapable of shame? Is there literally nothing that can shame you?
The error that we may have made is Putin doesn't seem to pursue Russia's national interests. He pursues Putin's interests. Russia's national interests are actually not to have a shrinking economy and to be this kind of rogue actor. Their best and brightest are leaving, So I think probably and we figured that out, but I think that did take us, that was the thing that took us, too long in retrospect to separate Putin out from Russia. The irony of the Obama years is going to be that, he was advocating an inclusive global view rooted in common humanity and international order amidst this kind of roiling ocean of
New World Order show right here.
Authoritarianism.
There she is. I'm going to put my son's broccoli in the plant.
How are you? Thank you.
What a night.
What a night. Yeah.
What a night. What a night. All right, everybody.
Gloria Allred right
not
there.
going to be with us for the whole
Madeline
night,
Albright.
but we may be seeing the first woman president elected tonight. We have with us the first American woman Secretary of State. Tonight is a seminal American event being lived with the 37 women ambassadors to the UN. There are 193 countries, 37 women. We have invited Gloria Steinem, an icon to women all around the world. Madeline Albright, one of my predecessors in the job, a hero of mine.
And you have the appropriate pin.
This is great, breaking the glass ceiling.
She's one of the cornerstone leaders of the pro-choice movement. And ambassador to the UN. Hillary Clinton lost. Hillary Clinton lost.
The only numbers that really matter tonight, and that is the race to 270 is much closer. You have to be worried tonight if you're a Democrat.
It's scary, right? It's scary. Yeah, it's not ideal.
In the Obama election 4 years ago, look all that blue. Donald Trump has taken them and he's turned them red tonight.
Did you come in thinking we're good, or did you just know that it was going to be?
I didn't think we'd be this poor.
And here we go. In California, is Hillary Clinton.
Now make it look close.
Vast stretches of our country red this evening. We have a call. The state of Florida. The apparent winner, Donald Trump. I need to interrupt with another one. Trump wins Iowa. The projected dominance being awarded North Carolina. Just came in 15 electoral votes.
They have a very realistic possibility tomorrow of controlling both the House, the Senate, and the White House.
To think of them in control of the Senate, the House, and the presidency.
I mean, it's almost like a civil war. You know, Donald Trump did not run to unify
It's almost like a civil war.
The country did not vote to be unified. This is the second of 4 really.
Ha ha, Trump won, Hillary lost. Deal with it, bitches.
I just came outside to try to process all this. It's a lot to process. I mean, I can't even.
I can't even. Spit it out. Are you gonna choke?
I mean, I can't. I can't
That
put
was
it
a
into words.
noticeable
I
edit
don't know
cut,
what the words are.
edit jump, or whatever.
Maybe he's just like.
No, like I actually saw the camera like the film kind of go bump. Like they did like some kind of edit cut or something. It was
On a
weird.
personal level, it's tough. My daughter was at home and went to bed before she knew what the outcome was. And so I had to explain it to her in the morning, and then it took her a while to absorb and digest. She thought I was joking at first. I know, I'm not joking.
I think we have to be realistic about the nature of the challenges that we face. Our job is to make sure the team coming in has a sense of the stakes, because they don't get higher. You have a responsibility morally to make judgments that are based on facts, not fiction. And I'll do everything in my power to put that kind of evidence in front of them as they come in.
Fiction. If you guys believed in facts and not fiction, transgenderism wouldn't be as big of a thing as it is right now.
No, that wasn't an issue in here.
You think about
I know, but
people around the country.
John Kerry
Right.
said you were
It's just
entitled
gonna
to your
worsen
own
me.
opinions,
It's
you're not
almost
entitled
worse
to your own
than
facts.
was
They're
crying.
trying to.
And that's funny because Oprah Winfrey said that everyone has their own truth
that we
with
worked
the
on
Golden
Cuba,
Globes.
Iran.
I know, but like they're trying to say that
happened to those things.
you can transition from male to female or male to female, or you can like create an entirely
There's
new
no
gender
facts
for
on it.
yourself,
I mean,
and
I
that
think
can be
people
your
assume-
facts, your truth.
Well, there's some grown-up somewhere, right? who
You
will make
liberals
sure
don't
you
believe in facts and truth.
screw up too bad or something. There's not. There's no strike that kills somebody. You decide whether to start a war. Presidents had to make hundreds of those decisions. He will have to make hundreds of those decisions. That will happen every week here. You know? And there's not anybody else who will make those decisions for him. Hey, I think we're wrapping anyway, so.
Ladies and gentlemen,
He's the expert. Γεια σας.
Very good.
Καλησπέρα.
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 There's an R missing here.
There's an R missing.
Καλησπέρα.
Καλησπέρα. Come on. Καλησπέρα. I'll figure that out. All right. Philoxenia.
This is where you philoxenia.
Philoxenia. Philoxenia. Philoxenia.
Philoxenia.
All right, let's do this. As many of you know, this is my final trip overseas as President of the United States. and I was determined on my last trip to come to Greece. Partly because I've heard about the legendary hospitality of the Greek people, your philoxenia.
Kiss ass.
But also because I came here with gratitude for all that Greece, this small, great world, has given to humanity through the ages.
Yeah.
25 centuries ago, in the rocky hills of this city,
they're a bastion of
democracy
human
was
culture,
born.
but they're not doing so great right now. Their economy is shredded. That's because of Islamic immigration.
After 8 years of being President of the United States, having traveled around the globe, I still believe the fundamental desire to have control of our lives and our future and our nations, these yearnings are universal. They burn in every human heart. That's why the most important office in any country is not president or prime minister. The most important title is citizen.
It's been interesting talking to
Kind of funny that you say that, because you had the IRS go after
just have to remind them.
conservatives, not just conservative groups, but individuals who disagree
History really
with
doesn't
you.
follow a straight line. It zigs and zags. But the trend lines ultimately will be in the direction of a less violent, more empathetic, more generous world. And that requires individuals fighting for that future.
There's this generation that seems to be coming up that seems to share a very Obama view of the world in the United States and all these other places. And then there are these retrenchment forces kind of pushing back from the other direction, who've actually gotten their hands on the levers of power now. In a strange way, like, it may just be that this has to happen, that people just have to confront the ugly reality of that. I've begun to just think about the next thing, and I'm going to keep working for President Obama in his international work. He's 55 years old. I'm 39 years old. And, the pendulum will swing back, and I think we have the template for when that happens.
There is a lot that we have done that we will, how do I put this, whatever, we're all exhausted.
I don't think the template is going to swing
So
back
tired.
until like 2024
we all need
at
to
the
reintroduce
latest.
ourselves to
You guys are shooting
loved
yourselves
ones
in the
who
foot
have been
already for
incredibly
like
patient with us.
2020.
But I think any thought that any of us might have had that we could go gently into the night, that thought has been vanquished. So we're in this for the long haul.
I always like visiting these ancient sites, whether it's the pyramid or Petra or the Parthenon, because it gives you perspective. In today's world, we live so much day to day. We're looking at stock numbers and poll numbers and the latest tweet, and it just fills us with distractions, with anxieties, fears. You visit a place like the Parthenon, and you're reminded that we're just part of this long chain, and we do our best with the little link of that chain that is allotted to us.
It's made me rethink kind of how we measure what we got done. You can measure the impact of the Cuba deal, but there are these things that we do that are really important that don't show up on that scorecard. And I'm thinking about these visits that, to Vietnam and Hiroshima and Laos. The impact you have on people's lives that the president is speaking to and connecting with and giving resources to, because when you meet them, they tell you that they trace back, their decision to start an organization or to start a business or
to go into government, to some interaction with the president. So that's what I'm excited to watch. That's a long, long game. I mean, we won't know that for 20 years, but maybe there's a different happy ending.
I think of all the young people who I've met around the world, they are representative of a lifetime of potential that's going to be realized in all kinds of ways we can't even anticipate at this point. Imagine what kinds of amazing revolutions for good they can inspire. The speeches they're going to make, the policies that they're going to implement, the laws they're going to pass.
More of an opportunity to play, but you have to study.
That's not the side of foreign policy that attracts attention, but may ultimately be the thing that has the most impact. Good. Appreciate it. All right. See you guys.
Bye-bye, bastard. Hey everyone, my name is Peter Hall.
My name is Josh Hall.
Today we're going to be reviewing a documentary called The Final Year. It's about Obama's last year in office. So, here we go.
No, sweetie, we gotta go, man. You're gonna get 5 pieces of hugs. No, I need it for the car. Your bagel's a good question.
Okay, so nothing interesting is going on right now. It just looks like a bunch of kids and their mom are running around their house getting ready to do something.
Rhea, what did you... No, I literally just had it. Okay, great. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Sorry, running a little late.
Boring start so far.
That's why I forgot my phone.
Oh, John Kerry. Fuck you, John Kerry.
Are these actors?
No, those are real people. That was John Kerry.
Oh, that was John Kerry?
Yes.
Yeah, fuck you, John Kerry.
Too late now. I don't know who that bald guy is.
Thanks, everybody.
I can still say fuck you, John Kerry. I just wasn't sure if this was a reenactment or not.
No, it's not a reenactment.
For a few months now.
John Kerry, right there.
Fuck you, John Kerry. Let's send a DVD to everyone in this video.
Josh, do you know how much money that would cost me? I don't even know who Samantha Power is.
Fine. Let's at least do the Clintons. Send it to Bill and Hillary.
Definitely Barack Obama and Donald Trump.
Okay.
I met President Obama when I ran for president.
Fuck you, Obama.
And asked him if he would be willing to be the keynote speaker for my convention.
When we send our young men and women into harm's way,
That was
we
the first.
have a solemn obligation not to fudge
John
the
Kerry
numbers
asked
or shame
Obama to be a
about
keynote
why they're
speaker for
going,
his
and to
presidential
never,
convention.
ever go to
I don't
war
remember
without
that.
enough troops to win the war, secure the peace, and earn the respect of the world.
I was very much one of those people who got hit by lightning when he gave that speech. And I immediately made it my single-minded mission to work for this man.
Oh, brother. The ass kissing is incredible.
This is our goal.
I literally made it my single-minded mission to work for this man. I got struck by lightning. Bam! Lightning just hit me! In the words of Marty McFly. You want to stop now?
No, it's almost over. Just less than a minute.
I don't want to sit any longer.
Fine. I'll stop it in a minute.
Tomorrow we gotta do our whites.
Yes, Josh. Soccer Sound, HBO documentary films. Alright, well, that was the final year.